What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome back to another weekly review. I hope everybody's doing well, and let's get straight into things. So we're going to start on the Dixie on the monthly just to see where we're at. We do finish the month of February this week, which is interesting, and we do have a lot of high impact news every single day, so I am expecting a lot of volatility in general, but you'll see we're still just pacing around this fair value gap on the monthly, which I was anticipating price to want to trade completely into. So my bias in general is still bullish because price should still be seeking to trade it inside of this, so that remains the same. And yeah, let's drop down to the weekly and get a better look. So last week we had a down close week, but what you'll find is that we traded quite deeply down into this bearish order block, which should now be providing support. So if we drag this out like so, actually we'll get the volume off it, you'll see how price traded down into that and closed above the 50% level and pretty much above the order block in general. Now this is classic price action. It tends to use previous order blocks bullishly on the buy side of the curve, so we anticipate price to want to be creating this kind of consolidation and return to on the way up. So moving into the new week, I am expecting this bearish order block from December to now be providing support for the new week. So what we can look at is we can look at the wick that was created last week, and we can mark out the 50% level of that. If price is to remain bullish, price should respect this midpoint, because that's what we call consequent encroachment. So I'm going to get that delineated right now, and we'll see how price trades around that level this week. Preferably, I'd like to think that we can find support there and then trade aggressively higher, running into last week's high and the week before that high as well as a potential target. Now, if price does give way to this level, as in if we trade through it on the downside, then my bias will likely change and would have to start thinking about what sell side PD arrays price may be trading to. But overall, I am still bullish, and a lot of that is supported by the fact that we've looked at the commitment of traders report, and also we anticipate February's to trade higher based off previous data in general. So let's get that marked out. We'll make that dashed. And another thing to take note of is this weekly fair value gap as well. So I'm going to get that drawn out. Now this weekly fair value gap should provide support. What's nice to see is the fact that last week closed above it, and I'd like to think that this week will also find support on top of it. Now, like I said, price can wick through it, and that is fine and probably very likely as well. But eventually I do want to see price use this level to act as a springboard for price to trade higher. So let's go to the daily, and then you can see that same weekly fair value gap has been translated down, and you'll see on Thursday and Friday we had two up close candles, again wicking through that fair value gap, but overall closing above it. That 50% level, the 50% level on the weekly is pretty much the 50% level of Thursday's trading, which traded right down into this bullish order block, by the way, right here. So that was nice to see last week. Traded down, touched it, and had a nice bullish reaction off of it. Again, suggesting that price should want to now trade higher and look for bullish PD arrays to reach. Another thing, we have a volume imbalance up here. So in terms of buy side targets, we can draw that out as a target for price in the new week. So let's get that green. And then we know that we have all of these highs: Wednesdays, Tuesdays, Mondays, and the week before that. All of these swing highs are going to be used as reaches for buy side liquidity in the new week. Now if we go down to the 4 hour, we can get a closer look, and you'll see how price turned around at around that 50% level, wicking down again into that massive liquidity void. The 50% level of it, to be specific, I'll show you what I mean. And the fact that we traded right to the 50% level, again, is showing bullish behavior. And we closed above the 25% level, which is even better. So these are all bullish signatures in price that we like to see. And then you can see this massive green candle that traded right through and closed above this swing high, again suggesting there's been a shift in the market that should now be hunting for buy stops. Let's go to the 1 hour, and you can see price a little bit better. Now, like I said, price can trade back down to this 50% level, and it very well may do. The reason for that as well, we have this swing low and this swing low coupled together creates relative equal lows. So that means there's going to be sell side liquidity residing below there, and that would create a nice low of the week this week. So we can get that drawn out. And there's a bullish order block down here as well, which should propel price if it's reached. So definitely keep an eye on this swing low and anticipate this getting taken some point this week before we see a continuation to the upside. We can even go down to the 15 minutes to get a closer look. You'll see the relative equal lows here and here. And again, you can see there's bullish order blocks that have formed here and here. So when price trades into them, if we are bullish, which I do believe we are, considering we've had a nice break in market structure, price should then push through higher. So all of this now that we're seeing, this back and forth price action throughout Friday, I do believe this is simply consolidation. And I'd like to think that in the new week, we can come down, create the low, and start hunting for buy stops after that. I am going to go to the 1 minute as well, just to show a very specific level. And it's going to be the last up close candle before the down move that we witnessed last week. So this move here from this low up to this high was like the last bullish move that we saw before all of this downside price delivery. And then obviously we got a high here and here. And then once we trade through these levels, price should turn bullish. But one thing to take note of is this happened at that weekly 50% level. So again, when price returns to these levels, we should anticipate that price wants to use them again as a springboard to push price higher and run for buy side liquidity. So that's just something to take note of, and it's nice to see that it's lined up again with our higher time frame PD arrays. So that's everything on dollar. I hope that all makes sense. Now let's go on to GBP. So here we are on GBP, and similarly to dollar, I see this fair value gap as a draw on liquidity for price to trade down into. So we are still bearish on GBP. On the weekly, you can see we had quite an aggressive week trading higher, and we traded into this rejection block level. Now, I am expecting last week's high to get taken on GBP purely because I don't believe it has the weakness not to reach for this. So if that's the case, then I'm going to simply be looking at the 25% and 50% level of this wick right here. So I'm going to get the 50% level drawn out, and that will be the very highest I want to see price trade on GBP before I expect, until I would change my bias or consider higher prices. So let's go to the daily. And you can see our price has been pushing its way up. We took out this swing high, and like I said, we are moving very close to that midpoint I was speaking about. On the daily, we also have a fair value gap right down here. And once price does eventually trade through this, I'd like to think that you can use this as resistance to push lower and run for these swing lows below here and potentially below here. But first, like I said, some kind of manipulation needs to happen in the week, and I would not be surprised if price wanted to create the high, running out last week's high first, and then start to move lower. Let's go to the 4 hour, and you'll see how price has just been stepping its way up, filling in this massive imbalance. Now, the fact that we have this massive imbalance is completely fine for price to trade and fill that in. It's just, you can see it's doing it in a very, very high resistance manner, as in it's taking its time to get up there. And yeah, that's what I mean. We can anticipate price to continue to fill this imbalance, and that 50% level you see lines up perfectly with the bearish order block that started the move. So even if we do trade up and fill this imbalance, the fact that we have the bearish order block here on the 4 hour adds to our confluence as to why we want to see lower prices. Let's go to the 1 hour. And again, very consolidated price action, but I want to see if price can reach up above these swing highs and find resistance at this level. So yeah, it's just a matter of waiting this week, I think, and then once price gets to these levels, we want to see, okay, does price want to continue to trade through it and trade higher, or are we getting the resistance we need? Because preferably we'd get a nice strong reaction off of this level, and then we can look for a breaker to short on, expecting a run down into all these swing lows that we've created. So that's my expectations on GBP. Let's drop down to the 15 minute. And again, you can see how last week traded, came down, trading higher, and in general, we are bullish, as in price is likely going to want to reach for this high I was talking about. But it's just a matter of waiting to see what price does once we get to that 1.274 level. Finally, let's finish on Euro USD. We'll go on the monthly, and let me get rid of everything. And you'll see, again, there is a fair value gap here on the monthly. Price has traded through to it already on Euro, but I would like to see price trade into it properly. And when I say properly, I mean I want to see volume within it and not just a quick reaction off of it. So I am still expecting lower prices on Euro. And then Euro, I wouldn't want to see take out last week's high. So this is where the SMT divergence comes in, as in pound, I'm okay with it taking out last week's high, but preferably Euro should not. And if that's the case, Euro should then respect the 50% level of last week's wick. So let's get that drawn out right there. And you'll also see there is an inversion fair value gap similar to dollar right here. So price, once it trades through that, we should anticipate it to act as resistance to propel price lower. So we'll get that drawn out in red. And now we can drop down to the daily. So you'll see that weekly midpoint also lines up with the daily midpoint, which is completely fine. And just one thing to take note of, if price does trade through it and we find support on this level, that is completely fine, and we'll simply start hunting for like this fair value gap up here with a potential reach all the way into these highs. But until that happens, as in until this high gets taken, I'm going to remain with my bias. Now let's go down to the 4 hour, and you'll see that that weekly level also lines up with a rejection block. So, and we also have a swing high here. So the way I'm looking at this is, okay, how could the week deliver so that we have some kind of manipulation, which will be us taking out the highs, and then an expansion, which will be us moving to the downside. And this frames it all perfectly, especially with dollar in support of that. You can see there's another bearish order block here on the hourly, again resting above these highs, and there is what we call an implied fair value gap right here. So price may want to seek to trade inside of that. Let's get that drawn out in blue, and we can go down to the 5 minute. You can see all this consolidation, and you'll also see a breaker, and the breaker here is a high, low, higher high, and then price is delivered to the downside. So this is the last down close candle before that up move. If we draw out the low of that, that should be a target for price. Now, assuming price does respect it, so what we're going to do this week, I'm going to wait. Does price want to take out the buy stops? If it does, how is it going to react once it reaches this level? If we have a nice reaction off of it, we can start looking for shorts for the rest of the week. If we trade through it and find support, then we should start looking for potential longs into this high and other highs. But yeah, that's everything, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace. What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome back to another video. I hope everybody's doing well, and let's get straight into things. So you'll see we had a down close day today on Monday, trading through that weekly fair value gap, and it does look like we're going to close below it as well. But you will notice we traded right to that weekly consequent encroachment that I brought our attention to in yesterday's video. So make sure to go check out that video if you haven't already. I was speaking about this level and it being an important level to watch. Moving into the rest of the week, nothing's really changed. Obviously Monday, not really much price action. We did move lower. I took out some sell side liquidity below here, and you can see we've had a nice reaction off of that consequent encroachment, and since then we've just been kind of consolidating. So moving into the Tuesday, I would like to think that we can start to again form the low of the week so that we can start to push higher, potentially for higher prices. But I am still just watching this weekly consequent encroachment. Preferably price will not trade through it, as in it will continue to show support and we can trade higher. But again, let's say price does trade through it and we start moving lower, then we can start looking at this low as a potential target, and I'd start thinking about us filling in this imbalance right here on the 4 hour. So what does that mean? That means that Tuesday, depending on how we trade, if it is quite heavily bearish, then we can start thinking about looking for shorts on dollar, running into this low and closing in this complete volume imbalance. But preferably I'd like to think that we can see continued support and then an expansion. So yeah, it is still just a matter of waiting. So I'm being very patient. We do have high impact news every single day, so there's definitely not any rush. But moving towards Thursday and Friday, that's probably when I'm going to be doing most of my trading. But yeah, if we go to the hourly, you'll see we've just been in this consolidation. We came lower, returning back to this bullish order block. I am watching this bullish order block as just again to see how price reacts around it, and you'll see that we did actually trade to it today. Oh wait, we never, my bad, we haven't actually traded into it yet. So if price does come down and grab these stops below here, we know that this bullish order block should act as a propulsion block. So we can write propulsion block, and assuming we are bullish, if once price trades into that, it should send price higher. It should propel price. So we have a propulsion block level right there. And then if we drop down to the 15, if we go down to the 5 minute, there is some fair value gaps I want to bring our attention to. So again, price may come down here in the new day, very may well, but we also do have a breaker that's formed. So we got this breaker here, we've got a low, a high, a lower low, and then price has broken to the upside, taking out these buy stops. So right now I do have my eyes set on this nice 5 minute fair value gap as well, that you can see relative equal lows forming above. So yeah, we still have obviously the Asian session to get through, but moving in tomorrow, I am just going to be watching very carefully. Okay, is price showing support? Are we going to see an expansion outside? Preferably yes. And if that's the case, we can start targeting these relative equal highs for buy side liquidity, and obviously these highs up here as well, and then running into our original target up here as well. So I have all my buy side targets pretty much marked and planned out. It's just a matter of waiting for that expansion, that initial expansion, and seeing us leave the consolidation for me to start thinking about entering any kind of position. So definitely don't rush into it. Definitely have your risk management on point. And again, watch this weekly consequent encroachment like you saw today, how price traded right down into that level, and then look at the reaction. And then look at the reaction we're getting away from it. So that's something to consider and definitely something to study. So let's now go on to GBP USD. We'll start on the daily, and all my markings from yesterday are still here. So you'll know that I did mark out weekly consequent encroachment up here. This was the highest I wanted to see pound trade, and I was saying that price may want to run out these buy stops. Now that wasn't the case. You'll see that trade price, let me just get rid of this. So today price traded very close to these highs, but never actually took it out. So this we could consider a failure swing, the fact that we're not taking them out, but it is also building up buy stops above there. But if we're expecting higher dollar, that means we should be expecting lower pound, of course. So again, I'm watching pound. I want to see break of market structure. I want to see some aggressive movement to the downside, and I want to see this daily fair value gap. I'll just show you on the daily. I want to see this get traded to as a target. So that's what I'm watching. In terms of high of the day tomorrow, again, I'm not really entirely sure because of how consolidated these environments are. So I wouldn't be rushing into anything, but around 8:30 for the high impact news, I'd definitely be looking for setups, so long as dollar's supportive, of a rundown into that daily fair value gap. And you can see how these relative equal lows here and here, that's all creating sell side. There's going to be sell stops residing below there. So price is going to want to draw to that, assuming we are bearish, and that's right above that daily fair value gap. So that's what I have my eyes set on. But yeah, we're just gonna have to, honestly, we're just gonna have to wait and see, wait for expansion. But to be honest, like I said, the fact that we didn't run out these highs, Friday's highs, the fact that we didn't do that on the Monday is showing a level of weakness in pound that I do like to see. So that is quite supportive. And yeah, let's go on to euro. Honestly, guys, if you haven't watched yesterday's video, make sure to watch it. I'll make sure to link it in this video because I'm pretty much going over everything I've already stated. So you'll see euro here traded higher. Where did we trade to? Weekly consequent encroachment. I brought our attention to this in yesterday's video. We traded right to it beautifully. Let's go to the 4 hour. You can see we traded up. Rejection block level as well. Took out this buy side liquidity, and then we traded away from it, and now we're just playing around in this 1 hour implied fair value gap. Now, what is an implied fair value gap? Well, in Sunday's video, I also brought your attention to this range here, and you can see our price has consolidated its way in here, and now we're just continuing to consolidate. So again, it's just a matter of me waiting for price to leave this range. I'm watching price. Do we see an expansion lower? Are we going to see it in Asia? If we don't see it in Asia, will we see it? If we see it in London, we can start thinking about setups for a shorting opportunity to run into that weekly fair value gap and into these lows where we have a beautiful sell side imbalance. So yeah, nothing's really changed. Make sure you've watched yesterday's video. Let's say price does continue higher, that's fine. We simply start looking for these highs to get ran and these targets. But generally speaking, I do want to see lower euro because I'm expecting higher pound. I mean, higher dollar, sorry. So yeah, hope you found this insightful, guys. Honestly, tomorrow will probably be a lot more interesting and insightful because this, Monday didn't really do much other than trade to our targets, our target low of the weekly consequent encroachment. So yeah, I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Don't forget to smash subscribe. Also join the Discord. I am active in there, and I've now put the seasonal tendencies in the Discord and the weekly profiles for you guys to use completely free of charge. So make sure to join the Discord, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. What's going on, guys? It's GBP, baby. Welcome back to another video. I hope everybody's doing well, and let's get straight into things. So we're starting on Dixie as per usual, and you'll see this is Tuesday's price action. It is still 420, but yeah, Tuesday we traded lower, taking out Monday's low, just as anticipated. And again, we're playing around with that weekly consequent encroachment level. Now, I can't lie, today has been disgusting in terms of price action. Really not the prettiest price action. Very difficult environments, as there was a lot of back and forth price action. And as we drop down to the low time frames, you'll see what I mean when I say that. So you'll see here is Tuesday's trading, starting from around here. You can see we traded lower, taking out this south side liquidity, traded into this bullish order block, and you can see how volume is respecting and continuing to respect that weekly consequent encroachment level. So this is all nice to see, and this is completely fine. We didn't quite get the expansion I wanted to see, as in I've been wanting to see price start to move to the upside now, but you know, we do still have Wednesday, Thursday and Friday all with high impact news happening. So hopefully moving in tomorrow we can see continuation to the upside, as that is what I've been wanting to see for the entire week, as you know. So that's my expectations moving forward in general. Like, really nothing's changed, just really heavy and disgusting consolidation, a lot of back and forth price action, and as price is doing this and consolidating, it's building a defense level here, I believe. So like, it's making it stronger. When something is in consolidation, it's making it stronger. So whatever they're making stronger, whether it's this defense level, price is eventually going to expand, and we will know when it expands, because I believe when it starts running, it probably isn't going to stop. So I do have my eyes set on this fair value gap up here in the premium, so I'm going to get that drawn out, and I would like to think that price will start to draw its way towards that. Now on the hourly, you'll notice that we did actually take out these swing highs over here. So we've taken out some buy stops, and again, if price continues to show the respect of the, if price continues to break through highs like this, then I'm happy to remain bullish. And again, nothing has said to me, okay, we're going bearish. At this point, we'd have to lose these lows right here that we created on Tuesday for me to change my bias. So unless that happens, I am still remaining bullish and do still want to see bullish price action. I'm just hoping that it doesn't remain this heavily consolidated. However, I doubt it will. So all of this right from Monday through to Tuesday, it's pretty much just been consolidation, and after consolidation we do anticipate expansion anyway, so hopefully Wednesday we start to see some more movement. Another thing to take note of is how this low, which we created today, has taken out this swing low right here. So some level of sell side liquidity has been grabbed, and I'll just show you what I mean by that right now. So we came down and grabbed sell stops below here and then expanded to the upside, running out buy stops. So the way I see this is that we've now taken out sell side, we should now be hunting for buy side, and the way we traded so aggressively higher towards this buy side liquidity is a shift in market, as in you can see we've broken a high, price is failing to come back to this low, we're continuously respecting bullish PD arrays, as in, you know, no lows are really getting taken. So yeah, so long as price continues to respect the bullish PD arrays and, like I said, respect this weekly consequent encroachment, I am happy for price to continue higher. So I'm going to keep my eyes on this swing high, because once price trades above that again, I do believe that it should provide support and send price higher, running into these highs and our relative equal highs up here, and that massive 4-hour fair value gap I've just drawn our attention to. So that's my bias moving into the new day. Honestly, nothing's changed. If you've been watching since my weekly review on Sunday, nothing's changed, and that's purely because nothing has been there to change. Another thing to take note of, we traded nicely into the bullish order block, propulsion block, that I drew our attention to in yesterday's video, and you'll see how volume is respecting it, and I'll just draw that out right now. So if we draw the volume, and you can see how price is respecting that. Yes, we've wicked through it 1, 2, 3, 4 times we've wicked through it, but if you look at volume, it's continuing to respect the bullish order block. So providing that stays so, we can continue to expect higher prices. But like I said, I'm just waiting for that large expansion for me to be truly comfortable. But overall, moving into the new day, the lowest I'd want to see price trade is probably going to be that weekly consequent encroachment again. But judging on how consolidated price is, I wouldn't be surprised if it, you know, carried on doing its gyrating madness. Another thing to take note of, in yesterday's video, I drew our attention to this 5-minute fair value gap right here, if you recall. And you'll see how price traded through that a few times, and you'll see how price is treating it right now. Price right now with this fair value gap is using it as like a it's using it to gyrate. So we've got, you know, it keeps referring back to it. So we traded through on the downside, upside, downside, upside. We're finding some level of support here, so we'll see how price treats it again as we continue to trade into it. But it's just interesting to see how price is continuously trading through back and forth again, consolidating within it. And I think it's what this is. I think that this could be considered a rebalancing it as a price range in general, but we'll see how price treats that moving into the new day. So yeah, that's everything on dollar. Let's go to GBP USD. We'll start on the daily with GBP USD, and you'll see again, really nothing too much or too exciting happened. We traded lower, failed to take out any kind of sell stops that I wanted to see get taken. So yeah, just again, continued consolidation. We traded quite deeply low, running towards its outside liquidity, but didn't quite touch it. Let's now go to the 1 hour, and you'll see this is this is just disgusting in general. I hate environments like this. It's really not ideal, and that's what I mean when I say I'm waiting. This is why I'm waiting for expansion. I want to see real movement in price, and we're not getting that. What you'll see is that we do have relatively equal highs building up above here, but if we're in a sell program, as in if there has been a shift in the market and we are bearish, price shouldn't need to worry about coming up to these highs. But the fact that they're so smooth like this, it's very well price may want to draw up to it, but again, these are very low probability environments. I haven't seen consolidation this heavy for a while, so again, these environments are not ideal. Preferably we can continue lower, but looking at how we're building up buy side liquidity above all of these relative equal highs is quite interesting to me. But yeah, I guess we're just going to have to go into the new day waiting and again see how the Asia session plays out. We do have massive nice 5-minute fair value gap right here, so price may want to find its way through that. Preferably if we trade through it, I'd like to use this as resistance to run into that daily fair value gap I drew our attention to yesterday. But honestly, today's just been disgusting, and if you guys survived it, well done to y'all. Let's go and finish on Euro USD. We'll start on the daily as well, and as you can imagine, not much here either. Similar to dollar in terms of playing around that weekly consequent encroachment, still respecting it with volume, which is quite interesting. We can go down to the 4 hour, and you'll see again just back and forth price action running out these highs. Volume, which is interesting, is respecting the 1 hour implied fair value gap. Now I drew our attention to this on the Sunday in Sunday's video, so if you haven't watched that, go check it out. But we've been consolidating in here for a while, but it's nice to see that we've taken out some buy stops. We saw a nice breakdown and we've just pulled back into the range, and you can see we're pulling back out of it again. If this is a reversal and we are going to move lower like I've been anticipating and like I want to see, that means that we do have a breaker forming. We have a high, we have a low, and we have a higher high, and then price is essentially hopefully breaking down to the downside. If that's the case, we can start looking at this candle as a point of reference for us to start looking for shorts. Now obviously we can't just go in and start shorting it now. We need to see some proper displacement. We haven't seen real displacement yet. When I say displacement, I'm talking about price action like this, large candles and expansion. Once we have proper displacement, we can start looking at this for a potential shorting opportunity. Let's run for the south side liquidity below here and this nice hourly fair value gap on the south side. So that's what I have my eye set on. It is just a matter of waiting. We do have high impact news tomorrow, and yeah, so long as price continues to respect this 1 hour implied fair value gap as it has been, I'm happy to remain bearish. But until then, we're just gonna have to wait and see. So that's going to be everything, guys. Honestly, today's just been disgusting. Make sure to join the Discord. I am active in there. But today, yeah, it's been wild to say the least. But it's very interesting to see it though. Definitely very interesting to see how we have traded around these levels and traded away. Broke market structure here, came back to a breaker, eventually took out swing highs, relative equal highs, come back again. But tomorrow I'd like to think that we can see some proper, some much cleaner price action. That would be preferred. So yeah, we'll wait and see. I hope you found this interesting. Make sure to drop a comment, smash that like button, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace. What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome back to another video. I hope everybody's doing well, and let's get straight into things. So hopefully you've watched this week's videos, especially yesterday's, as I explained what I wanted to see. But you can see we're here on the daily on dollar, and you can see how we traded up into a 4 hour fair value gap just as we anticipated. We traded up, taking out a lot of these highs right from last week, just as anticipated. We're coming back to the weekly fair value gap right now, but let's go down to the 4 hour just to get a better look, and you'll see the 4 hour fair value gap that I drew our attention to in yesterday's video. Now you'll see we traded to 50% off that. That's what we call consequent encroachment. So just get that delineated like so. You'll see our price traded perfectly to that before turning around, leaving it and trading back down to this level right here. Now what you'll find, if you've watched my trade execution video from today's price action, you'll remember me calling out this level, saying that price is likely going to want to draw back into this, and like I said, heading for this high. Now why is dollar going towards that high? Well, we have a low, we have a high, we have a lower low, and then price has moved higher since. So this level should be considerably sensitive to, and that's because this is the breaker. We have a low, we have a high, we have a lower low, and then price is broken out to the upside, meaning that this should this last up close candle should act as a breaker, meaning that we can start looking for buys as price trades back down into this, assuming we are to remain bullish. Now, the whole week has been a lot of back and forth price action. As you can see, even today, we traded aggressively higher in the morning, continued rallying right into New York, running out the stops as expected, and then had a turnaround straight away. But what I now have my eye set on is definitely this 4-hour fair value gap right here. So I want to see how price acts within this. Now, I'm going to keep this level delineated just because this, like I said in the trade execution video, this should be sensitive to price, as price will use this as like a reference point to send price higher. Price should then respect this fair value gap on the 4-hour as well, so we're going to keep that drawn out, and preferably price can remain within that, moved into the new day, before then again trading higher and running for these stops, and eventually the buy side liquidity residing up here. Now let's go to the 1-hour, and then you can see I've got the daily dividers delineated, and you can see our price traded right through out of the Asian session into the London session, trading up and rallying into that fair value gap, taking out these buy stops. So now that these buy stops are met, like I said, I expect price to want to come back down into this fair value gap, lining up nicely with the last up close candle before the down move. What do I mean by that? We got a low, we got a high, we got a lower low, and then price is broken to the upside. So where is the last up close candle before price broke lower before breaking higher? We have this candle here, and if we drag out that 4-hour fair value gap, voila, you can see that lines up perfectly with that. So again, as price comes back into this range, we can be looking for longs on dollar with expectations to hunt for shorts on euro and GBP. Now moving more deeply into this as well, so long as price continues to show support at these order blocks here and here, we can look for longs, but do just be wary and be aware that if price does fail and trades through this, disrespecting these order blocks, then we may have to reconsider our options. But preferably I'd like to think that price can remain strong and use this to propel price higher. So as you can see, this week is going pretty much to plan. If you've watched my weekly review, we came lower, traded down to that weak consequent encroachment as anticipated, traded higher up to this 4-hour fair value gap as anticipated. We're now coming back down to the breaker, so let's see, can Thursday provide us that breaker turnaround with a continued run higher into buy side liquidity. We'll go to the 15-minute just to get a better look at price. Again, rallied right into that London session before turning around, had a nice break in market structure here, and trading lower back into this range, and then since we've just been consolidating. So definitely keep an eye on this 4-hour range that I've got delineated in blue right here. So yeah, that's pretty much everything on dollar. In terms of tomorrow, again, low of the day I'd like to think can be made within that 4-hour fair value gap, with the high of the day aiming for Wednesday's high, up here, and then potentially this high all the way up here. So definitely have these levels marked out on your chart, and especially keep that 4-hour fair value gap marked out, because we haven't actually filled that completely yet. So we've got 2 levels of buy side liquidity that we should be aiming for, assuming price wants to remain as strong as it is. So lovely to see. Let's now go on to the GBP USD. We'll go into the daily, and what you'll find is that GBP didn't move as much as we saw Euro move. So we can get rid of this now. But you can see Wednesday price traded down through the daily fair value gap. Remember I was saying I wanted to see this get traded to. Beautifully, we traded down right through it. Where did we trade to though? You can see if we look at consequent encroachment of this, you'll see we traded pretty much to that. In Mohawks, just a little bit over it, nothing to be concerned about. So moving to the new day, I'd like to think a continuation to the downside would be necessary. Furthermore, we can start looking at this wick from Tuesday now, and we can look at the midpoint of that, because this up close candle on Monday is now going to be a bearish order block. We traded through it on the downside, so this should now act as a bearish order block. But what I'm going to do specifically is I'm going to look at the midpoint of it. So let's just get that delineated of this. And what this will do is it will give me a maximum level that I'm anticipating price to trade. If we're bearish, price shouldn't trade any higher than this midpoint, because that's what we call mean threshold of the bearish order block, and price should therefore respect that moving into the new day. So we've got that delineated in red now. Now let's go down to the 4-hour and see what that lines up with. So you can see here's that ugly consolidation that we had yesterday. We have a nice fair value gap. Sorry, not yesterday, earlier on in the week. There's that level I just delineated for us, and we have this fair value gap right here. So price very well may continue to trail its way up, but overall, moving on into the new day, I'd like to think that we can trade back into this daily fair value gap, and you can see we're now starting to develop relative equal lows below here. So sell stops and sell side liquidity are definitely starting to form below here. Let's go to the 1 hour, see how price traded lower again. Look at where we're consolidating around that daily fair value gap. Now this is important because what it's doing is it's rebalancing this range. So we're delivering on the downside, upside, downside, upside. So preferably we want to see it deliver on the downside, right? So once it trades back through it, we want to see it act as resistance to propel price lower. But until then, price likely will continue, maybe take out this swing high. We have a bearish order block here to keep an eye on for us to start looking for potential shorts. Another thing to take note of is, let me just see. So this high, let me just zoom in a little bit. This high is higher than this high. So you can see that that high is higher than that high. What does that mean? This is the last up close candle before the down move. So we can look at a breaker. We got a high, we got a low, we got a higher high, and the price is delivered to the downside. So what are we watching? We're watching this candle. And what does that line up with? The midpoint of that wick that we just drew out on the daily. So again, we want to see and anticipate price to trade into this to hunt for shorts. What we can do as well is we can actually drag out the volume of that, because this is now a breaker block. Yes, we've already traded to it here, but again, I would not be the slightest bit surprised if price wanted to touch it again. Very common. So now as price trades into that, we can hunt for shorts, expecting a run lower into sell stops. Let's go to the 15-minute. Again, assuming dollar wants to trade lower. If this high gets taken, this is what we would call engineered liquidity, because it's been placed there knowing that price maybe in the Asian session or the London session will come up, tag that, running out any orders above there before displacing lower. But you'll see how very ugly GBP's been today in general, so that's quite interesting. Furthermore, that daily volume block I just drew out, no, it's not daily, sorry, hourly. So this white box, if we drop down the 15-minute, you'll see that lines up with a fair value gap. So what does that make this fair value gap? It makes it an inversion fair value gap. What does that mean? It means that when price trades to it, we should also see this act as resistance. So now we have 3 different levels or 4 different levels of, PD arrays that are at this level. And I'll run us through it right now just to explain what I mean by that. We have this bearish order block midpoint, which is mean threshold, that should provide resistance. And then on the hourly, we have this as the breaker, high, low, higher high, last down close candle. So that should provide resistance, lined up nicely with that mean threshold. And then even on the 15-minute as well, we now have an inversion fair value gap. Why? We deliver on the upside, deliver on the downside. So when price trades back up to it, we anticipate resistance. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen, guys. We're just speculators, right? But generally speaking, that's what I would like to see if we are to continue lower and dollar is to continue to show the strength that it's been showing. So that's what I'm going to be looking for moving into London, preferably a trade up higher with a hunt for shorts. Let's now finish on Euro. Euro is where I've done my trade. If you haven't watched the trade execution today, make sure to go watch it. I'll link it in this video, guys. Let's see. Let me just get rid of whatever we don't need. So you'll see. Wednesday traded lower, running out stops below this low. And then we traded right back up, which is completely fine. And again, this big massive candle should act as a bearish order block because we traded through it on the downside. But I wouldn't be surprised if we did want to come back one more time into that weekly consequent encroachment. But let's go to that 4 hour and you'll see our price has just pinged right off of that weekly inversion fair value gap. Again, I do think this is all manipulation. So I advise you to be careful and don't fall for it, so to speak. Easier said than done. And what we're going to look for is the breaker again. We've got a high, we've got a low, we've got a high, high, and then what's happened? Price delivered to the downside. So what we're looking for, the last down close candle, which is here. And we can look at this candle as well as a potential draw. But generally speaking, I'm watching this level, which lines up again with that weekly consequent encroachment that we've already traded to. So let's go to the 1 hour, see if there's any better PD arrays. You can see we've formed some relative equal highs now above here. So that's what we call buy side liquidity. There's going to be stops building above there. So price may want to snatch that. Slight fair value gap right here. I'm not calling highs, guys. We're just speculating. We'll make that red. So price, I want to tag that, trade into this, and then we can again start hunting for shorts, assuming, remember, we need to know that dollar wants to move lower. So all of this which I'm showing you right now is only applicable if we do see dollar do what we want to do, and that is come down back into this range, find the support it needs, and trade higher. The very lowest I'd want to see dollar trade is going to be to these up close candles right here, and the reason for that is because this is like the first breaker: low, high, low, low, and then price brought to the upside. So I am also going to draw out this level on dollar, because I wouldn't be surprised if dollar wanted to be extra, trade down, touch that level, and find a nice reaction off of it. But these levels in general should be very sensitive. So hopefully I'm making sense, but I'm going to break down one more time. So long as dollar comes down and respects this level and this range in general between here and here and starts to trade higher, we should be able to hunt for shorts above this buy side liquidity within this range with an expectation to run lower and into these lows. Same with GBP, we can expect pound to trade higher, run out this stop with an expectation for shorts to run lower into these lows. But yeah, and we do have high impact news as well, so that is what's going to hopefully move the market and drive it in the directions we're anticipating. So yeah, that's going to be everything, guys. I hope that made sense. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button. Join us on the Discord, because I've updated some stuff in there. It's a lot more stuff going on in there. And yeah, catch you tomorrow. Peace. What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome to another video. I hope everybody's doing well, and I do want to start this video off asking if anybody wants or is willing to be in an interview with me about trading, about the charts, all sorts of different topics. I'm looking for someone to interview online, or if you're in the UK, potentially in person, as I do want to start a new series here on the channel. So if you'd be interested in getting interviewed or discussing some data with me or anything like that, please drop a comment below or join the Discord and send me a message, as I am looking for people to get involved. Anyway, let's get straight into things. We're going to start looking at the US dollar index 35-year seasonal, and the reason I'm looking at this is because we do start March. Tomorrow on Friday, so we need to look at March, as in the trading month of March, and see how it performs. And you can see that generally for dollar, March is quite a bullish month, up until about the midpoint of the month, where we have a reversal. So we can anticipate some kind of reversal, a heavy reversal in March, but generally speaking, you can see that all the Marches, both on the 35-year, 15-year and 5-year, the seasonal tendency has shown March to rally into the middle of the month. So we can now go in with that kind of preface moving into the month of March. Furthermore, I've also delineated the IP to data ranges here, 20, 30, 20, 40 and 60 days forward from the 1st of Feb, and 20, 40 and 60 days backwards from the 1st of Feb. So you can see we're just entering that, after that 20-day period, entering the start of the 20-day period. So we've casted forward 60 days. This is 40 days here. This is 20 days. So now we're starting from that 20-day period. So we can expect either a continuation or, a reversal. I'm expecting a continuation. We've been bullish. I've been bullish for a pretty long time, way back from January. So if you've been following me, you'll know that that's been the bias in general, but at least we can head into the month with this bullish bias and expectation. And you'll see I've also graded the last 20-day period. So from the 1st of Feb, I've graded it. So we have the high, which price may want to draw towards, and we've got the low, which I doubt price wants to draw towards right now. And I've also delineated the midpoint and the 25% level. And the reason for that is just to see how price draws to each level. So we're going to start on the daily, of course, and you'll see here we have a nice volume imbalance that I do believe price is still working its way up to. So I'm just going to drag that out as a target for price moving into the new month. Another thing I want to draw our attention to is this bullish order block. You can see we traded through it yesterday on Wednesday, but we also traded through it and looks like we're closing above it. Well, we are likely going to close above it today as well on Thursday. So we can draw this out with a black line, and we can type bullish order block, because this is a significant level where if price returns to it, we can anticipate a strong reaction. So let's drop down to the 4-hour and get a closer look at price action. You'll see price today traded down twice into the level which I was bringing our attention to in yesterday's video, and then you can see we finally expanded and starting to get that expansion that I was talking about and anticipating for the entire week. So that's nice to see. Here, this is that bullish order block level on the daily, which I was just speaking about. So now I've drawn that out, and yeah, you can see we're finally starting to work our way up. So what I'm looking for now is all going to be premium arrays, such as this buy side liquidity here. So I'm going to get that delineated, and I'd like to think that price will draw towards that on the Friday with the high impact news. And we also have this fair value gap that I would like to see price start to fill. But let's go down to the 1 hour just to get a better look at price. And you'll see our price came down. This was that level I was talking about in yesterday's video. I made I delineated an orange level right here. And I was saying, watch this level for price. And you'll see price came down during London, traded aggressively off of it. But then it came back down one more time to grab stops below it, wicking further down, and then expanded higher. So don't get me wrong, this price action, it is very tricky. This did throw me off. I didn't expect us to touch this level twice, once, then twice like this. So generally speaking, it wasn't the smoothest or cleanest delivery, and I can imagine a lot of people got taken out on the way up. But still, this level remained significant, and you can see how price treated that and used it to springboard higher and finally running towards these highs. So what am I expecting moving into the new day? Well, now we have a breaker. We've got a low, a high, a lower low, and price has broken to the upside. So that order block level lines up nicely with that breaker high. So it'd be nice to see if price can come and tap that. This should provide a lot of sensitivity to, again, send price higher, running for that buy side liquidity and into Wednesday's high as well, which we didn't quite reach today. If we go down to the 15-minute, you'll see our price is just kind of consolidating right now. So again, maybe during London or even the Asian session, price may want to come down, tap this high before trading higher and running for these highs. One thing to take note of, price doesn't have to come back and refer back to this just now. So although I do want to see price come back down because it's a breaker, last up close candle before the down move, although it would be nice to see, it may not, as in price may be so bullish that it just continues higher, and that is completely fine. We should still be able to find setups. Judging on how bullish we are as well, I wouldn't be surprised if we rallied during London and then got our retracement from New York, but I don't really want to speak too much on that. Another thing to take note of is we do have a reclaimed bullish order block that we are trading at. So here, this is a bullish order block because we caused this big up move to take out this swing high. And what happens when we put a level on this bullish order block right here? You'll see our price is respecting that here. And the reason I'm bringing our attention to that very specific order block right here, the reason I'm doing that is because, again, I just said price doesn't need to come back down to this breaker. As much as I want to see it do that, it doesn't need to do it. And the fact that we've traded down into this reclaimed bullish order block right here is one of the reasons why I'm saying price doesn't need to come down, as in this may provide enough support to send price higher. So that's something to consider. But overall, our drawn liquidity is certainly going to be Wednesday's high, as we failed to reach it today, and these relative equal highs that we have up here with a nice fair value gap, which is also lined up with that 25% level of the previous 20-day range that I brought our attention to. So hopefully you're following along. This is a lot in general, but this is everything I'm looking at, guys. So definitely get all of these levels marked out on your charts and just watch how price works its way up tomorrow into that level. But definitely consider this as a potential low where we could start looking for entries in the new day. We'll go to the 5-minute, just have a better look at price. Again, came down to that level, traded higher. I did think we were going to rally up into Wednesday's high from here, but then we kind of turned around, grabbed stops one more time before reaching 10 o'clock, where during London close, you can see price just rallied aggressively, again, taking out these highs, and now we're just consolidating. So yeah, hopefully moving into the new day, trade higher. Again, it doesn't need to come back down here. Why? Because we've already grabbed stops from the south side. Like, price doesn't need to always retrace after an expansion like that. It can continue. So do not be surprised if we do see continued expansion up here, up into the buy side liquidity. Let's go on to GBP USD. We'll start on the daily as well, and you'll see I've done the same thing with as what I've done on dollar. So here's what I've done on pound, and you can see that we've finally started to see some proper expansion and breaking market structure on the downside, just as anticipated. So here is the previous 20 days, and we're just about to enter into that new set of 20 days right here. And that means that we can start looking for PDRAs in the sell side that we want to see price trade to. Now, obviously, we have the low, which is down here, and this low right here as well. So that is our general draw. But we also have all of these lows here, here, and here for price to want to draw into. But let's drop down to the 4 hour. We should be able to get a better look at price. And you can see price is finally starting to step its way down, and we just have lows after lows after lows after lows after lows. So there's going to be a lot of buy sell stops residing below these lows for price to want to draw into. Another thing to take note of is, again, today price action, we took out buy stops, took out some buy side liquidity above these relative equal highs right here. So buy stops have been grabbed, and then we traded to the downside, closing below this swing low. So that means moving into the new day, we should be anticipating more shorting opportunities for us to start running into all of these lows. Let's drop down to the 1 hour just to get a better look, and you'll see I have the daily dividers drawn out. 1 second, let's go to the 4 hour. So here I have the daily dividers for the week. You can see Monday's made the high, consolidated Tuesday. Wednesday we moved lower but kind of pulled back into ourselves before we had a nice proper move on the Thursday, running out buy stops and aggressively trading lower. So similar to dollar but inverted. I want to see continuation to the downside on Friday. Let's just get Friday marked out properly like so. We do have a breaker that's formed, high, low, high, high. So we should be watching this level now. Can price come up and touch that? The same way we was expecting dollars to come down into its breaker, we can watch this level and expect shorting at that price right there. Once we expect shorts, where do we want to run to? Well, we have relatively equal lows now below here. There's going to be sell stops below there, so we can use that as a target. And then we also have these lows as well. So there's, generally speaking, there's a lot of targets. One thing that is definitely getting my attention is this hourly fair value gap all the way down here. Now, I don't know how bearish pound is going to be tomorrow, but this is an hourly fair value gap and imbalance that price may want to draw itself to. So we have relatively equal lows and a clear imbalance in price right here that price may want to make its way to on the Friday. Let's go to the 15-minute and have a better look at price. Again, consolidated, moved down during London. Moved down into New York, rallied, ran out buy stops before aggressively turning around and trading lower. Last down close candle is the breaker, high, low, high, high. So now we're watching that level to look for shorts. And again, look, there's a bearish order block here. And I've said this multiple times on this channel, price will always return or tends to return to original consolidation. This is the original, like you can see us consolidating. This is the original consolidation. So it would not surprise me if price wants to return back to this level to go short. But again, just similar to what I was saying in dollar, it doesn't need to. And I'm saying that just because I've seen price action where price fails to return to the breaker and simply just falls straight out of the bed. And when I say straight out of the bed, I mean straight out of Asia into the new day, running lower and creating the low maybe in London. So that is something to consider, and that very may well. If that happens, so let's say we don't trade any higher and we just run straight for this imbalance, then we can anticipate a reversal and price to then trade higher towards that level. So that's our alternative to what price is going to do. But overall, I want to see lower prices, again, in line with dollar moving higher. So hopefully that makes sense. Finally, let's finish on Euro USD. And it's going to be pretty much the same thing. I'm going to start on the higher time frame for us. We'll start on the daily. I've done the same thing again. Ignore these lines. In fact, let's just get this sorted. So here is Euro, and you can see finally we've closed now below bullish PDRA. So this is a bullish order block, but finally on Thursday we traded through that bullish order block and closed below it, meaning that we should now be acting bearishly. Furthermore, this bullish order block should now act as a bearish order block. So we can actually drag that out and we can see how price treats that moving into the new day. Let's go to the 4 hour. And again, you'll see a nice fair value gap has formed and a breaker, high, low, higher, high. So I am watching this level, but again, this is where we'll probably find some kind of divergence. For example, GBP may have the strength to trade to its breaker, but Euro may not. But you can see we've got some beautiful relative equal lows below Euro here, here, and here. So these are going to be sell side targets for Euro in the new day. And we have a nice fair value gap up here with a bullish order block. So again, lower prices on Euro will be preferred. Here's the breaker on Euro, high, low, higher, high. But as I was saying, price may not even want to be able to reach up there. It may simply fall straight out of bed, trading lower and running into that fair value gap. So do not be surprised if that is the case. We'll drop down to the 15-minute and you'll see our price has been trading, kind of consolidated. We may get a slight wick up. This is very common, especially in the Asian range. We may, for example, wick above this swing high. Small fair value gap right here. There's a fair value gap right here. So price may want to wick up into that where we can anticipate shorting for us to then run for the sell stops below here. So that would be ideal, but it doesn't have to do it. And you'll see what I mean as we move into tomorrow. So yeah. So that's going to be everything, guys. I hope you found this insightful. Hope that will make sense. If you have any questions, just join the Discord and drop a message. I'm right there. And I'll catch you on Sunday. Also, again, just to rephrase what I started the video with, if anyone is down to do an interview, I'm happy to work with you guys. There's some more content I want to create for this channel. So please drop a comment or hit me up on Discord. Catch you in the next one. Peace. What's going on, guys? It's GBP Baby, and this is just a quick invite to tell you to come and join the GBP Baby server on Discord. So here we've got the general chat where you can talk about pretty much anything you want. I've recently added the Ask GBP Baby. No one's asked any questions yet, so make sure you come along and ask questions. And you can see I've got some topics such as psychology and motivation, backtesting, where I'm pretty much pasting any backtesting I'm doing for you to go and have a look at yourself. Dixie, GBP, Euro, any news that's quite important. We've got materials, so that means we've got the seasonal tendencies, weekly profiles, memes if you want to have a quick laugh, and I've recently as well added a voice chat for whenever I'm ready to come and talk live during the New York session or maybe even the London session. So make sure to click the link in the description and come and join us in the Discord server. Peace.
Nice.